Hey guys, welcome back to the Next Rank YouTube channel with Johnny and Jack. We're going to be watching the slowest game and the fastest game played by a single player at the Boston Major in this video. And on the first one here, we're watching the slowest game played. This is Chronic, SSG, Chronic at the time, against, wait, KC, right? Yeah, it is KC.
Yeah, against KC.
Full screen your POV here. But yeah, this is not a good start for Chronic, down 1-0. But he's a player who's been used to playing pretty slow pace Jack over the years. You played the Chronic. You know his playstyle very well. This is something he makes work, and you guys are going to see how they do in this game. That being fast isn't everything in Rocket League in the average sense. Being fast is more like how quickly you go to the ball when you want to go. But yeah, thoughts on Chronic in a wider sense here with this playstyle, Jack. Before we get into the specifics of this game.
Oh, I love Chronic, man. I'm a big Chronic fan. I always have been. I still think he's a fantastic player. And yeah, he's always moved, I would say, slightly slower than average, but I think it has gotten slower over the years. And this game was a huge anomaly. Now, I will say real quick, actually, Johnny, that so far in this game, he's actually not moving that slowly from where it seems. So he must go like really slow at certain points, but yeah, I think Chronic's fantastic. I think his playstyle, works for him. Some players just prefer playing slower than others, and if they can hold their positioning correctly, then we'll see it be effective. So I think that's what this video is about. Both playstyles can kind of work to every level. It's just about how you kind of use it, how you deal with it at times, and yeah, we'll talk about a little bit of the kind of positives, negatives of both, what you have to do to be good at it, and what these players in this video are doing to make their playstyles work for them. But yeah, let's get into this and see what we can find. Like I said, Johnny, it's actually right now it's not too slow, but he does.
Went backwards there. Hold on.
Yeah, he does kind of stop and start a lot. He doesn't kind of hold his momentum in the direction he's going all the time, which a lot of players would prefer to do. I think he's more kind of position and focus. Like he would slow down completely to hold the midfield rather than let someone else come forward, which I think in that moment was the best play. I think he made the right decision there. And yeah, he's just kind of very focused on, I would say, like I said, blocking certain spaces on the pitch, which can be really easy.
And he does someone. See, he can still go fast in the moments.
Yeah.
So yeah, what do you think about the speed in Rocket League? This used to be a bit of a meme back in the day. Average speed. Which region's the fastest region? I think it was during the online era that was happening, and it was pretty funny. But I mean,
you loved that, by the way. I'm not letting you slide on. You loved.
I instigated that. It was me. It was really funny.
Yeah.
What do you think of average speed versus like speed? Like what is important? Is average speed important? Do you need to keep your pace up around the pitch at all as a Rocket League player? Do you think?
I actually think there is a sweet spot. I really do. I think that certain players can. No, I actually don't now that I say that, because now that I think about it, the best players in the world do vary. Like Vatira, for example, is usually, from what I remember, around. Okay, these numbers, by the way, aren't going to make sense. You guys, just for context, this is the slowest game of the major, Johnny. And what was the number? It was 1370. Is that correct? From memory?
I think you're right. Yeah. Yeah.
All right, 1370. A slow game, if I see a 1450, even a 1480, I'm like, yeah, they're moving pretty slowly. 1370 is like extremely slow. I've very rarely seen that. When you're getting into 1580, 1600, that's quick. And then the second game of this video, I think, is an 1820.
Oh, this is a 1330, by the way. 1330.
1330. That's absolutely outrageous. I don't actually know how. I've not seen him move that slowly yet, and we've got a minute left. But I guess he is stopping and starting a lot. But to go back to your question, I think Vatira hovers around the kind of mid 1500s from memory. You've got great players like Daniel who usually move quicker, and they're on the kind of 1630 to 1670 range from what I remember. Anywhere between there. Ruas, kind of similar. TRK on that old Falcons team. I don't know what he is on this Twisted team, but yes, probably the same. He's always a quick
very
fast
player.
Yeah. Very fast.
The meter players are all very, very
yeah. Who else have you got? I think Zen from memory
Yeah,
moves
he's pretty up there.
quickly. Yeah. So you've got great players kind of everywhere, and then you've got the Gentlemates team that won this major. They are all low 1500s, and Archie I think slightly below, or like very low 1500. Like they're all kind of quite slow moving, or like moderate to slow.
And Jack is talking about Unreal units, not a rating
Yes.
game in 2v2 here, not
Yeah. This is a metric used to see how fast they're moving. So it's like
Supersonic, for reference, I think is like 2300. So if you're averaging
Right.
1300, your average speed is just above half of Supersonic, and if you're averaging 1800, like the fastest players at the major sometimes do in their fastest games, that's 50%. It's like almost 50% faster than Chronic is going here on average, which is a pretty big difference. And there is like Jack said, a lot of players can be good at all of these ranges of speed. So it's more like a play style thing, stylistic, not as much like good versus bad.
Exactly, yeah. And we have been watching this game in the background. I know we've been talking very, very much about the kind of speed thing and not about the gameplay. But you'll just notice that when Chronic is on low boost, he's not. A lot of players will try to use that low boost to speed up, to keep their momentum high, because when they're on low boost, they want to be kind of traveling quickly at times to make sure they can get to certain places, maybe get to a big pad. But Chronic's very comfortable kind of lingering around on 12, 24 boost, playing on those small pads and just not necessarily trying to push up, just holding a certain position with low boost, but understanding that he can still get a touch. Like here, for example, sorry, I'm not going to do this too much, but I know he's defending, I know he's awkward on 20 boost, but when he pushes out here, a lot of players wouldn't kind of decide to push out on 15 boost. They might just let their guy take out solo, tell him that no one's going to be following him, perhaps just try and play a little bit more for themselves on these pads around here rather than try and push up for a potential 50, a potential outplay. But that's what Chronic decides to do. That's what he prefers to do. It allows him to get onto balls that maybe certain players wouldn't be able to. And then when the time comes, he can get that 100 boost and still be fine. So he's not rushing to get that boost. Not to say that people who do prefer to get the boost or play for themselves in terms of boost is to quote unquote rushing, but it's just like I say, it's just a stylistic difference. It's just a decision making kind of difference that some players have. I presume Chronic here actually does go all the way back this time. I was going to say I presume he'll turn on the small pads. This time he does decide to go all the way back. To
he's
the
farming some speed there just a little bit.
Yeah, true. He's not limiting himself. Honestly, that should have been a goal. I thought he did a good play there, and then last second he probably could have just popped it around instead of go for the 50, but almost gets rewarded for it, not quite. But yeah, a lot of his game plan is just focused on holding the kind of angles, holding the positions where the ball is going to be most dangerous, not really worried about moving too far away from the play.
Sits under the ball a lot as well in defense, which we can see he's boost starved or very low at times. This could have been a goal.
Good read.
He sits under the ball because he knows, even though there's no chance he can get it, the other team don't know he's absolutely on zero at times, and he might jump. So by being under the ball, he's kind of forcing the opponents to go high towards his teammates, and he just covers in a more he keeps stopping and just sitting kind of under the ball like this. This kind of time he actually does jump because he has boost, but he's done that quite a lot, especially in defense, in positions where he's got no boost and no chance of aerial contesting, but he just stays there anyway. Very interesting way to defend these positions that you guys can try out yourself, whereas other players might, like Jack mentioned, circle around the pads and try to actually contest with boosts that they've just collected. I think these are things you guys should try to just hold positions, try to just put pressure on your opponents by existing instead of just leaving all the time to get boosts and farming speed. Every situation in Rocket League is different, but if you're not a player who does these things, it's definitely worth trying. You'd be surprised how much you can do sometimes by just occupying a space. The opponents will just panic, give you the ball for free, or give your teammate the ball for free.
Definitely. I think it's a great thing for, like you said, for people to try. I think when I was Champ 3 and I first reached, that's just going to be game, by the way, so maybe I should hold that for a minute as we get into the next one. I'm just going to rewind here, actually, and speak about this real quick, because when I was Champ 3, a lot of you guys will kind of resonate this. When I tried to get GC, the thing that helped the most was me slowing down, playing on the small pads, and not trying to be too flashy with the ball. I guess that's my way to describe it. I was basically just moving every ball. The game has changed
Simple.
since then, but I still think, by the way, that kind of advice can help a lot of people that are struggling.
Jack,
in
you
certain
just described
moments.
my 2026 gameplay.
Yeah,
also,
exactly. And your 2025 gameplay, and your 2020, and so on and so forth.
And it does still work
yeah,
very well. I can comfortably get a GC, so it works in Champ 3 for sure.
Exactly, and I think that people can try that style and see if it works on as well.
All right, guys, let's get into the fastest game played at the Major. That was the slowest average game at the Major played by Chronic, 1,333 Unreal units on average throughout the game. And now we're on Naupo POV. You might have guessed it was going to be him. He has got 1,821 on average in this game, and he is against Chronic, who they didn't have the best series here. I'm sure this isn't spoilers by now, with weeks and many weekends going by since the Major. But yeah. Naupo's pretty quick. He occupied the 3 fastest games played at the Major. This was the fastest of the lot.
Yeah.
Let's see how he goes. Oh my god, he's already using the pace to actually get successful plays. He's not just randomly chasing around and hoping things work. That was good speed there.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I really quickly, guys. That last game, we'll talk a bit more about Chronic's game at the end of this video because we'll have a few more things to say about that. But yeah, we will quickly get onto this fastest game by Nupo. It is always going to be Nupo with the fastest games. He always has them, like you said. 3. He said you said he had the 3 fastest.
The 3 fastest in the Major were all him, then Rawas, and TRK, and then Naupo again, and Naupo again, and Naupo again. So he's like occupying most of the top 10 of the fast games.
Yeah,
he's just always the fastest player on average.
If you guys want to be able to do this, it's very simple. You need to have extremely quick. Well, you have to have extremely quick decision making. You have to have extremely fast recoveries, and you need to be efficient. You actually have to be efficient on low boost, Johnny, because to be able to recover on low boost is a skill of itself. You need to be able to constantly be able to pick up your speed and be very comfortable flipping. That's the few things, because Nupo will flip more than the average player to kind of get that speed over and over again. I think the downsides are that
it's just been super psych for like a minute.
I know. It's a complete like contrast to the last game.
Crazy.
I think the upsides are obviously, sorry to rewind, you can get challenges like this where you're typically like you kind of coming out of nowhere, right? And I think the downside at times is that you are going to be making the wrong decision and pushing too far forward, right? Unless you're absolutely perfect as a player, it's completely unrealistic. You will find that can happen where you just slightly misinterpret the kind of play and the distance, and you're just gonna put yourself slightly out of position. That's how I would say, at least, how it feels. And yeah, the obvious upside is that I think the game is extremely easy to play when you're doing this, right, Johnny?
Easy
I don't know how you felt.
Yeah, easy for you, as the player who's doing it, but maybe not easy to play with. So we've already seen some double commits where TRK, Monkey Moon, and Twisted Minds as a whole, they've not realized. Wait, he stopped? What's happening? He could have farmed even more speed there. He could have driven in a circle. But yeah, they've double committed because they either didn't expect him to be able to get to the ball, or they didn't comm fast enough. You have to comm very quickly here if you don't want to double commit and maybe even triple commit while someone on your team is doing this, or your whole team is doing this. But yeah, your whole team's doing this, you're going to double and triple commit, and it all comes down to recoveries to keep your defense and midfield intact.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's like you said, it makes the game easy for you because it feels like you're just playing off of flow, which can help a lot of players. If you guys are, certain of you, some of you, sorry, watching this will be kind of overthinking a lot when you're playing. Yeah. And I think this kind of style, maybe not to this extreme, but this style a little bit can help you release a little bit of that. That's an insane read, by the way. Can release a little bit of that kind of overthinking. That's
crazy. You just go over the double, he sees it clear, just makes a ceiling interception instead.
Yeah, I mean, stuff like this, Johnny, sorry, I don't want to keep rewinding, but the player's almost moving too quickly, where to keep up with it in terms of what we're talking about, we might have to. Now, this would be a time where going slower into this play would be way better, right? He zap dashes it. If he doesn't, he would be able to get up to this ball and shoot.
Open net,
right? And that's where the you can definitely overdo it with this type of play style, and that comes in quite easily. Where because you're based off flow, you're kind of just going and going and going. At times, it can really help massively. I mean, Nupo's an incredible player. He's got to this level by doing this over and over again, years on years. But yeah, that is the downside to this type of play style, where sometimes you're moving too quick to the point where you can't react to a certain thing, if that makes sense. So
he probably still could have made it work if he like demoed.
He could have for sure. Like if he, he could have made it work. By the way, this series, I do want to point out, this series is, I don't want to say pointless because you're still actually getting points technically for the World Championship race. For a team like Twisted Minds in MENA, where do they have a large gap on the third team, Johnny?
It's a gap, but if they don't if the other team makes them in next major over them, then they're in big trouble, because then you'd be losing your spot to them most likely, because you didn't have a good major here. That being said, would
you say the series is still definitely more important for SSG in?
Yes, I would say so. Because they've got a smaller gap, and also if they don't, if they fall out of the major, or the World Championship race, winning that last chance qual is a bit less clear in North America, whereas if Twisted Minds end up having a last chance qual to Worlds, you'd really put your money on them making it over the rest of the field. There seems to be that one team, I think it's R8 Esports is still their name. They're giving Falcons and Twisted Minds good series. It's also 2/3 of Team Rock from last year, so they're consistently doing very well. But everybody else is a bit off the same level, so you'd have to say Space Station, this is much more important for them.
Yeah, for sure. So like this series, basically, guys, the major format was quite interesting. Yeah, that's just a goal, and that's SSG's major.
So it's like fine.
Yeah, true. I was gonna say, I was like, I was actually wondering what was kind of going on here with the last time. I didn't realize it was completely irrelevant. Like, the game was over.
Just farm some more speed. Just don't lose supersonic. Just get up as quickly as possible. Recover quickly, more speed.
This series was a little bit of a weird one because it, quote unquote, it technically didn't matter, right? Like for the major race, both teams were already out basically. So it was a little interesting. I think that almost makes it easier for, I want to say, Nupo to kind of have his style, where it's very like flow based. It's very like, doing what kind of first comes to mind. And when you don't have that pressure of the series, meaning too much, basically, it's easier to play like that. So yeah, that kind of gives a little bit of an interesting kind of background to that series in particular with that play style. But yeah, that's the fastest game of the major, Johnny. What did you think about that? What did you catch anything that maybe we didn't, or was it just full go ahead for the entire 5 minutes?
I think he can do this, and it's not as bad. If things go wrong and it's not a must-win match, it's just like, whatever. We want to win it, but it's not the end of the world if we don't. Then it's much easier to, let those double commits and things that might tilt you and your team. Let them just immediately move on in the past, and you just keep gaming. I
mean, Monkey Moon was laughing, for God's sake, in his comms, like in his player camera. I don't know if you saw that. Like mid games, he would be laughing because that series was interesting. I mean, that's a whole other topic.
They're just outpacing. It's probably the fastest team on average of the major against maybe the Slowest. They're definitely. I could take a look actually, but. I think that both playstyles are valid in a sense, and there are extremes that make it invalid. You guys who are thinking about this from your own game's context, you'll know that sometimes you queue up solo queue, and your teammate is just trying to go as fast as possible because they're clearly tilted, or maybe they're grinding movement mechanics. They're just trying to wave dash, and they're trying to flip immediately every single time they land, trying to wall dash. They're just trying to go as fast as possible. They're jumping immediately. They're never hesitating. And sometimes it's really hard to play with somebody who's doing that. In fact, it always is if they're overdoing it. But like Jack said, if you're like a really slow player, you want to play more like Chronic, hold positions, arrive at the right time. Lots of good players have done that. The Gentlemates, current and past previous Gentlemates who won Copenhagen, do that.
Major winning teams,
Itachi, very famous for doing this, just holding positions and timing his arrival. in his career, which was a very successful career. You can do that, but if it's causing you to hesitate, yeah, just go into one session and try to just go immediately more often on aerial contests, on chances to score, on challenges and recoveries. Just try to immediately move every time without thinking. And you'll probably realize situations where that is the better option. And then if you're the other side of the coin, if you're a player who likes to just move fast every time and never think because you don't like the decision making, the stress that brings, then maybe try it anyway. Put yourself in those uncomfortable positions where you're like, okay, you know what? I feel uncomfortable because I'm on low boost, but I'm just going to chill here. This is fine. I could just take this space. The opponent has to outplay me. They don't know how much boost I have. Oh, look at that. They gave the ball to my teammate. Great. You know, try the other side of the coin, and you're probably going to find a nice medium, a balance that fits you, which will be playstyle dependent. It'll differ player to player.
Definitely. I mean, one of the most like common things that I see when I watch like lower ranked replays, for example, is positions like this where that's the defending corner right now, the other team, and we're on 20 boost. The other team has the ball. Our teammate might be challenging on the left side of the pitch, and a lot of the time people will just go like this, right? And that can work in certain moments, but I think a lot of you will kind of benefit from, instead of being on 24 boost in that position and going for the mid boost, just kind of circling around, getting some small pads and positioning right like this behind your teammate, ready for the challenge. Maybe not that close, but you guys get the kind of picture there. So I think that it can help you learn game sense a little bit better, I would say, that play style, whereas the other one, going quick, can help improve your mechanics, recoveries, right?
Yeah,
stuff like that. I think that when you go fast, it's gonna put you in awkward positions, so you're gonna have to react quicker. You're gonna have to play a little bit more on point mechanically, and it's going to improve that aspect of your game. But yeah, like I said before, if you're moving slower and you're reading the play, well, you're actively improving on whatever you're doing at that time. So you're going to be actively improving on your game sense. So I think it's kind of two sides of a coin. You have to just kind of pick which one you want to work on at a moment, and you can switch play styles, guys. Like everyone can do both, you know, for different games, or do a mixture in the same game. You work out which one your opponent is struggling with and do both. You're not limited to one, and I think that's the biggest point of this video. I think the best players in the world, they can flick on and off, right? Yes. Everyone has a baseline, everyone has their average, what they prefer to do, and that's rarely going to change, right? That's rarely going to change. It's just kind of what you develop over years of playing this game. But you can decide in certain moments, if your opponent is struggling with you guys, like all your team sticking in the play on low boost, on small pads, just holding your position, well, then that's what you do, right? You do whatever you need to do to win the game. And I think it's a little bit about realizing what works for you to get the best out of you, but also at the same time what works to make your opponent as awkward as possible.
Yeah, like if you realize you're getting dusted, you and your team are just getting dusted by people who are not hesitating. They're just going full speed every ball. They're not really playing very precise, but they are playing quickly. Then you need to up the pace. And a pretty common thing that you'll hear in streams and YouTube videos and content is when high-rated players or pros realize that's happening, they say, oh, they're just ball chasing, let's just ball chase. Because if you ball chase more precisely than the opponents who are also ball chasing, then you're going to win. Because one of the best ways to beat ball chasing, especially if you're struggling against like players who are just rushing immediately for every single ball, is just do the same thing, because you know they're going to be up. And it's less important that you get the pristine touch. You just need to get a touch and somebody's out of the game. Maybe two of them are out of the game. Like if you're against that Twisted Minds team, they might have just double committed. If you just jump immediately, assuming that they're going to be up, and get a touch to a safe position, now your teammates might be in a 2v1 or or a 3v1 even. So you've got to, like Jack said, adapt to the opponents. If you realize they're playing fast, you have to sometimes play more quickly. If you realize that they're just backing off a lot, giving you a ton of space, use it. Slow down, take your time, and try to counter what is in front of you. Experiment with what works well for you as an individual. And if you want help with that, we've got a video on this channel about movement mechanics that you need to know at your rank. You should know all the ones that you're at ranks that are below your rank, of course. So be sure to check out that video. We've also got tons of movement-related videos in the course itself. We've also got videos about boost management and positioning that are going to skew more towards those, positional players who are not trying to go too super fast and move around too quickly. So we've got a bit of everything in the course and on this channel for you guys to check out, and you can try to improve your own gameplay in that regard.
Absolutely, guys. If you have enjoyed this video, be sure to drop a like Johnny said. Check out the course at thenextrank.com. Check out all of our other videos on the channel. Leave us suggestions. What do you guys want to see in the comments down below for other videos on this channel? And we'll see you in the next one. Take care.